All right, what's up, guys? This is Jeff Campbell out of Indianapolis, Indiana, and this is the Top Producer Show. This is episode 4, and we are going over the training, the book, Think and Grow Rich. So what I want to do is connect to some people here real quick, make sure that the people who asked are invited on. Hope everybody is having a good day and a good start to the new year, which has been interesting to say the least. Hope everybody is healthy and well, or if you're not well, getting better, getting healthier, which is always important, right? And just sending out some invites, putting this show up so people can join in. And there are a ton of people. There's no fast way to do this, by the way, guys. So if you wonder why, you actually have to sit down and invite each individual person or groups of people. You can also share to groups, share to pages, which is also what we do afterwards. So this show will be on the page, the Top Producer Show, which gives people a message that we're live. So I'll do that now. Share to a group. Share to a group. Okay. I thought I could share to a page. Come on, people. Okay, I guess I have to show the page later. Whatever. So here we go. Chapter 3 of Think and Grow Rich is actually the second lesson. It says, both poverty and riches are offsprings of thought. It's what you think about. So actually the same exact spot in your head that creates fear also creates faith. And faith is the second step towards riches, or the second law of Think and Grow Rich. And faith, what is faith? Faith is a visualization of and belief in attainment of desire. So you first see it in your head, and then you have the ability to go after it. So faith is the head chemist of the mind. It says when faith is blended with thought, and the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration, translates it into the spiritual equivalent, and then transmutes it into infinite intelligence, as in the case of prayer. So people have heard this before, you know, people are like, oh, we were all praying, we were all thinking, and all of a sudden somebody starts to get better. Why is that? Well, that frequency is out there. You have the ability to connect. It says the emotions of faith, love, and sex are the most powerful of the major positive emotions. That's why, you know, you can get so much done. You know, isn't it amazing you can get so much done if you really like somebody and you want to take off time? You're like, okay, I'm going to get this project done. I know it takes 2 years, but I'm going to do it in the next 2 weeks so that way I can take off, you know, on a trip with somebody. So faith is a state of mind which may be induced or created by affirmation or repeated instructions through subconscious mind through the principle of autosuggestion. So it's something you have to hear over and over and over again. This is how you program, literally program the mind. People are like, yeah, but I grew up in this way, and, you know, my parents were this, and my teachers were that, and, well, that's all fine and good, but you can reprogram all that shit. You know, if you have a bunch of bad programs, what do you do in a computer? You reprogram it. Same thing is true with your head. You're like, well, you know, I always get depressed and this, that, and the other thing. Great, stop thinking about that shit, and you can go a different direction. Now, there's a methodology, and I'm not talking about people who are like depressed clinically. I'm not making fun of anybody. I've been there myself, you know. I mean, when you're in that state, you need to go seek help for sure. But we're talking about, you know, just upset about what's going on. You know, you know, well, I don't like this and I don't like that, so I'm not going to do anything. So faith is a state of mind which autosuggestion can help out. So, you know, your subconscious mind's really interesting. It says faith is a state of mind in which you develop at will. After you've mastered the 13 principles, because of this state of mind, which develops voluntarily through the application of these principles. So doing things that they say in here, like yesterday we went over desire and, you know, physically writing down the exact amount you're going after, and then actually repeating it to yourself. You know, they said through repetition, right? And they say, when should you repeat your goals? Every morning. So it's your first dominating thought when you get up, and every night when you go to sleep, because you actually do take in information when you sleep. For those of you who don't know, people are like, well, I just like to sleep with the radio on, or I like to sleep with the television on. Probably the worst fucking thing you could do. It's absolutely the worst thing you could do. And here's why. Even though you're, you know, conscious of like, hey, what is that, is turned off, your subconscious is on. Your ears still work. You're still hearing and taking in all of the garbage, all of the crap. And you wonder why you can't figure it out, you can't succeed. Is because you have all this negative programming that's constantly going in. If you have that, well, I have the TV on just when I'm studying, just when I'm doing this, just when I'm doing that, or I'm just flipping through Facebook, when I'm driving, which you shouldn't do, or when I'm at home, I just at the end of the night I flip through. Probably the worst thing you can do. So people consistently program themselves. And here's the thing. The best companies in the world know how to do this. And you've seen it through advertising. You've seen it through advertising, auto-suggestion. They just repeat the same commercial over and over and over and over and over again. And eventually, even if you don't have all the words, you'll hear something in the same tone, and all of a sudden you'll have that commercial in your head. All of a sudden you'll sing that song. Oh, where did that Disney song come from? That's auto-suggestion. So, it says repetition of affirmation of orders to your subconscious mind is the only method of voluntarily development of the emotion of faith. So a simple way to say it is telling yourself, I can, you can make it, you can make it, you can do it, you can hit, this goal. Thanks, Andrew. And it's weird because at first you're like, oh, well, is that really true? I mean, think about it. Your subconscious mind, we've all thought, oh man, this isn't going to work out. Oh, will it ever work for me? You ask yourself that question in your head, hopefully not out loud. But if you ask it in your head, so you want to talk to yourself. You shouldn't probably answer yourself out loud, right? That would be weird. Hey, self, you should do this. Okay. You're not supposed to create a third personality, but you are supposed to program your subconscious mind with what? With better stuff. This is why, if you had a supportive parent or a supportive teacher or a supportive adult growing up, that person, has a kind of interesting spot in your life where you want to reach out to them right away. Why? Because they were a positive influence. So repetition of affirmation, any impulse of thought which is repeated, passed on to the subconscious mind, finally is accepted and acted upon by the subconscious mind, which proceeds to translate that impulse into physical equivalent by most practical procedures and availability. So what it's saying is if you tell yourself you can over and over and over again, eventually what happens is your programming kicks in and works, and you're like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And rather than sitting at home doing nothing, sitting on your thumb, watching TV, watching something, being online where you shouldn't be, you're actually going to pick up your phone and text message 25 people or 50 people, and you're going to connect with the people you're supposed to connect with. And that's where it goes from, something you told yourself to programming in your head, where the programming finally takes over, and you physically go do something to basically back up what you told yourself. It's kind of how it works. So, and that's obviously not from physics or psychology. I don't have either one of those backgrounds or degrees, but I'm just, the general idea of how this works. So repetition of affirmation of the orders of the subconscious mind. Any impulse which is repeated, we talked about that. The subconscious mind will translate into physical equivalent through impulses of negative or destructive nature. Watch this, negative or destructive nature, just as readily as upon impulses of positive. So if you tell yourself you're a failure, if you tell yourself you're not going to make it, if you tell yourself you're an idiot, guess what? You will consistently do things to prove to yourself what you're telling yourself. You won't finish projects. You won't get shit done. You will be a disaster. You won't pay your bills on time. All of that stuff that's happening is from programming. It's from programming. It's not the outside world doing it to you. You think it's because, it's how I grew up in this, that, and the other thing. No, it's the programming. And here's the thing. A lot of times we repeat dumb shit that we've heard over and over and over again, even though it's not true. And you have to watch this on what, you kind of think back and take in what your parents told you. But even more important, what are you telling your kids? What are you telling the people around you? What are you telling your spouse on a regular basis? Like, all that stuff comes out. So that's why if you're around truly successful people who get this, they can listen to you for about 2 to 5 minutes. And in 2 to 5 minutes, they're like, I kind of know where this person's going. How do they know so fast? It's because you give it away in your conversation. You give it away in your vocabulary. So This accounts for the strange phenomenon referred to as unfortunate. Oh, that person's so unfortunate. That shit just keeps happening to them. You know, Jim Rohn talked about that. He's like, why is it that bad stuff always happens to me? He goes, because bad stuff always happens to people like you who always talk about bad stuff, is what he was kind of referring to. The same thing is true with good luck. Good luck. Good luck works the same way. So only reach the subconscious mind is to add to the emotion of thought. The only way to reach the subconscious mind is to add to the emotion of thought. So repeat over time becomes reality. So not only do you want to repeat the good stuff, but you have to repeat the good stuff, watch this, in a positive state of mind with high energy. The higher the energy, the higher the emotion, the easier it gets to the subconscious mind. It's like the easier it is to program it. The easier it is to program it. So you can change those dominating thoughts. Repeat over and over and over again, they become reality. It is essential for you to encourage the positive emotions as dominating forces in your mind and discourage and eliminate the negative emotions. How do you do that? A lot of it is hanging around a mentor or coach who understands this, who can basically pick it out for you. That's what helped me a lot. I was around certain people and, you know, they would point things out, sometimes in other people, and I was like, ooh, that's stuff I do too. You know, if it's not good for them, it's probably not good for me. I also was around super positive people who were able to make this work, and they constantly said things like, right now, we got to do this, right now, you know, not later, but right now you have to take action. Right now you have to make that phone call. Right now you have to have that text. Right now you need to send that letter. Right now you need to connect. And constantly talking about right now, and I mean, this person would say right now like 6 million times a day. And what's funny is I was like, you know, that guy gets back to you right now. Like, I mean, as soon as you contact him, he gets back to you right now. If he says he's going to do something, when does he do it? He does it right now. Is it interesting that he repeats that out loud consistently with high energy? And it seems like it translates into everything that he actually physically does. It's not a mystery when you understand the psychology of it. It is essential for you to encourage that positive emotion and remove the negative. So there's certain things you probably say to yourself or say out loud or say to other people that you shouldn't say. Why? Because you're programming yourself for more of that. Why does this shit always happen to me? Well, because you're attracting that shit by saying it always happens to me. You start looking for it. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference between positive and negative. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference between good and bad. It's just going to do whatever you tell it to do, which is unfortunate for a lot of us, because a lot of us have grown up around people who were extremely negative or were extremely sarcastic. I got the sarcasm thing, so everybody has something different. Your mind is dominated by positive emotions, becomes favorable abode, a state of mind as faith. A mind so dominant may, at will, give the subconscious mind instructions which will accept it upon immediately. So it means you can say whatever the hell you want to yourself, and it will program itself in if you say it repeatedly. Like, hey, I'm an intelligent person. I can figure anything out. Guess what? It'll start happening. You have to say it a lot, though. Especially if you have years of programming telling yourself you can't do shit. I can't learn anything. I can't learn something new. I never do good in new environment. I mean, people say this stuff out loud, and, you know, for those of us who understand this part of it, it's kind of like, ooh, that's going to hurt you long term. I mean, you know, but you can't walk around and point and slap everybody and be like, stop doing that. I mean, that's not going to work. That's not how to win friends and influence people. That's not how to, you know, become a top producer, is, you know, pointing it out. But when somebody's ready to hear it, when are they ready to hear it? They'll finally sit down and be like, man, I need help, like real help. Okay, what's going on? Well, you know, this just isn't working. Like I'm trying to do all the activity and it's not working. What are you saying to yourself on a regular basis? Can I, and you always ask for permission when you give coaching, by the way. If you want to give anybody coaching where it's actually accepted, they have to agree to it first. I would like to tell you some things that you're probably not going to want to hear, that you're not going to like to hear, but if you do hear them and there are things that you need to fix, we'll help you. Do you want to know those things? And it's hard. It's hard to not just come out and say it, but to ask for permission first. I can help you, but do you really want this information? Because you're kind of saying it's probably not going to be the most fun conversation in the world. And if they're good, you're good and you move forward. AKA, you will not fight yourself. And what I mean by you will not fight yourself, I'll give you an example. If your goal is to make 6 figures, but you keep telling yourself you're a broke idiot, and you wonder why you can't get to six figures, it's because you keep telling yourself you're a broke idiot. And it may not be six figures. I mean, it could be anything, right? Anything you tell yourself. But your brain won't fight itself. If you keep telling yourself you're an idiot, even though you want the money, you'll never go get it. If you tell yourself you can, then you can. But you're going to have to back it up with, obviously, the work and doing everything else. You can't just sit there, I can. That's not going to work. You have to actually do it. Faith is the eternal elixir which gives life power and the action to impulse of thought. Faith is starting point of all accumulation of riches. The faith that it can happen. And I heard it like this. Belief is a thought. Belief is just a thought. Faith is activity. And there's a cool story about a tightrope walker. This tightrope walker gets up and he's got this newscaster, he wasn't a newscaster, he was a newspaper writer, like an editorial. And they were doing this thing for the circus, and the editorial shows up, and he's basically walking across like a canyon. And he's like, do you believe that I can walk across this tightrope? And the newscaster like, the newspaper's like, I don't think anybody should walk across that. And he walks across and walks back. And he goes, do you believe that I can do this? And the guy's like, well, yeah, I just saw you do it. Of course I believe. He goes, okay. He puts this chair on his shoulders. And he says, do you believe I can walk across the tightrope with this chair on my shoulders? And the guy's like, I don't know. I mean, that seems even more risky. I doubt it. And he does it. And he comes back and he goes, so now do you believe that I can walk across this tightrope with the chair on my shoulders? And the guy's like, yeah, I mean, I just saw you do it. I now believe. He goes, do you believe I could walk across this tightrope with this chair on my shoulders with you seated in the chair? And the guy just stopped. He goes, that's the difference between faith and belief. Belief is, yeah, I think it might work. I think it could. Faith is you actually get in the fucking chair. Right? And that's an analogy to the activity that's needed no matter what you go do. Whether you get in the chair, whether you make a phone call, whether you text message, whether you join a business, like whatever you do. So faith is the basis of all miracles and all mysteries, which cannot be analyzed by the rules of science. Faith is the only known antidote for failure. The only known antidote for failure is faith. Like the faith that you're going to change it, the faith that you're going to correct the things. I mean, it's tough. It is a well-known fact that one comes to believe whatever one repeats to oneself, whether the statement is true or false, that's what you're going to focus on. That's what's going to come true. Every man is what he is because of his dominating thoughts, which he permits to occupy his own mind. So you become what you think about. Thoughts are mixed with any of these feelings of emotion constitute a magnetic force which attracts similar or related thoughts. So again, if you're like, I can figure it out, I can do this, I can figure it out, I can do this. So that when you hit a challenge, your brain's like, well, you don't know physics. It's like, no problem, I'll figure it out. You don't know chemistry. No problem, I'll figure it out. You've never fixed a sink before. I mean, it could be something dumb like that. And you're like, that's okay, I'll figure it out. Because you've trained yourself, I can figure it out. You trained yourself, you can do it. You can do it, I can do anything. You know, which would be really good to instill into your kids. It would be really good to instill into your team. If you have a team, you guys can do anything. You guys can accomplish anything, no matter what the economy does, no matter who's in office, no matter who's not in office, no matter what they burn down, no matter who gets blown up, whatever is going on in the world, no matter what, economy does, no matter what the dollar does, no matter what gold does, no matter what Bitcoin does. Doesn't matter. You guys can win no matter what. That's kind of something that you'd want to program into a team. And you only can program something into a team by what? Repetition. Saying it over and over and over and over and over again. And getting them, not just you saying it and them hearing it, but them saying it. Because eventually what happens is, have you ever noticed you start singing or humming certain commercials? They got you. They programmed your ass at that point. If you start humming the commercial, and you're like, oh yeah, there's this one commercial, like they've got you. You're going to buy that shit no matter what. Why? Because they've programmed you to do it. And, if you don't think that this is taught inside of high-end advertising and marketing, it is. The human mind is consistently attracted to vibrations which harmonize with that which dominates the mind, the thoughts that dominate the mind. So self-confidence formula. I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose. Therefore, I demand of myself continuous actions towards its attainment, and I have now promised to render such action. I know what I want and I'm willing to work for it is the shorter version. So you know, if you wanted to program yourself, your subconscious, your self-conscious, and you want self-confidence, imagine if you repeated every day, every morning, and every night, I know what I want and I'm willing to work for it. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, and I'm willing to do it right now. Again and again and again and again and again. Eventually, you'll start attracting other things to you because you're saying this all the time. It's a dominating thought in your head. All of a sudden, you're going to see a situation differently and be like, you know, I was going to put this off, but right now I'm going to do it. Why are you going to do it right now? Because you told yourself, I know what I want, I'm willing to work for it, and I'm going to do it right now. That's why it happens. So next, I realize the dominating thoughts in my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts 30 minutes a day upon the task I'm thinking of, the person I intend to become, therefore by creating in my mind a clear mental picture. So how is this translated? I know what I want and need to become something more to get something more. I know I need to grow. Every day I'm going to grow. Why am I going to grow? Because I need to grow into the person. I need to grow into the person that can handle the $1 million. I need to grow into the person that can handle the $100,000. I need to grow into the person that has 100 people on my team. I need to grow into the person that has 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 people on my team. I need to grow into that person, and I'm going to do so every single day. Every single day, every single day, I'm going to grow. 3, I know through the principle of autosuggestion, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some physical means of attaining the object of it back. Therefore, I will devote 10 minutes a day to demanding myself to the development of self-confidence. So you're going to work on becoming better every single day, growing every single day. So here's the translation. I know what I want, but I know I have to fight to grow forward because my mind will want to slip back to my comfort zone. That's kind of what the translation is. Your basic human instinct is not to help you succeed. Your basic human instinct is set up for only one thing, survival. And survival mode is, I know what I have right here. Don't go outside this circle. Don't go outside the circle. Safety, security. Safety, security. Don't go outside the circle. You want a Ferrari. Yeah, but right here is safety. Your Honda's doing fine. Your Toyota's doing fine. You want a Rolls Royce, or it doesn't have to be, I mean, it could be a Lexus, and you're like, no, your Honda's just fine. Your Ford that's falling apart is just fine because you're in your comfort zone. It's just right there. You can see it. It's not that much more money. But your comfort zone says stay here. So you have to, watch this, you have to be around other people that have that stuff to pick up the thought process, vibration, vocabulary, where it's normal to have that. Because guys, it's normal. People have those kind of cars. People live in those kind of houses. People have that lifestyle. That's normal to some people. It's just not normal to you. 4, I have clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim in life, and I will never stop at anything and shall have developed sufficient self-confidence to attain it. So I know what I want, and I've written it down, so I will not lose focus and achieve what I truly desire. 5, I will fully realize that no wealth or position can long endure unless built upon truth, justice, and therefore I will engage in no transaction which does not benefit all whom it affects. I will succeed by attracting myself to the forces I wish to use and to the cooperation of other people. I will induce others to serve because of my willingness to serve others. So give first, right? I will eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism by developing love for all humanity. Isn't it really hard? Isn't it really hard to dislike somebody that makes you laugh and is always consistently helping other people? It's hard to dislike them. You're like, shit, I don't want to, but I like that person. Because I know that negative attitude towards others can never bring me success. So he said a lot in that one, but I will cause others to believe in me because I will believe in them and I will believe in myself is kind of the translation of that. I know what I want, so I will make sure I do it for the right reasons with the right people until it's accomplished. The subconscious mind makes no distinguish between constructive and destructive thoughts. It works with the material we feed it. Throughout thought impulses come in from your eyes, thought impulses come in from your ears, thought impulses come in from the people you're around, thought impulses come in from the environment you're in. Have you ever been around a bunch of negative, stressed out people, and you get home and you're like, shit, I'm stressed out, and I wasn't even stressed out when I went in there. Why was I stressed out? Because you're around stressed out people. You pick up that vibration because of the conversations, because of the vocabulary. The subconscious mind will translate it into reality through a driven by fear just as readily as translated by reality driven by courage and faith. Like the wind which carries a ship east and the other the west, the law of autosuggestion will lift you up or pull you down according to the way you set your sail, according to the information that's coming in. Poem. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger, faster man, but soon or later, the man who wins is the man or woman who thinks they can. Somewhere in your makeup, there lies sleeping the seed of achievement, which, if aroused and put into action, would carry you to new heights, such as you've never hoped to attain. You'll go past what you actually even wanted. It is a known fact that emotion of love is closely akin to the state of mind as faith. This is the reason that love comes very near to translating through one's impulses to spiritual equivalent. It's what makes you go do what you do. During his work in research and analysis of the lifetime achievement of hundreds of men of outstanding accomplishment, that there was influencing of a woman's love back nearly every one of them. So all the successful people that they researched kind of pointed to part of their success as being in this relationship with this certain person that drove them to success. Gandhi accomplished the outstanding feat of influencing 200 million minds to move in vision as a single mind. It's one idea can change the world. You know, one idea can change the world. Gates with Microsoft and programming and being able to build a business and transfer information. Steve Jobs with, you know, the technology of coming out with iPhone, video phone, you know, what we're on most of the time. You know, that one idea, you know, has changed the world. Charles Schwab, capitalism, you know, was another idea that changed the entire world. They're like, oh, you mean the people could actually make the money instead of just the king? Like that makes sense. Why should we give the king all the money and let him decide what shit happens? Because what if the king doesn't have the views I have? We should give the money to the people and let the people make as much as they want and do what they want to do. And that one idea concept created probably the biggest explosion in the poor moving up. The absolute poor moving up. Now the absolute poor became, you know, the upper middle class, lower middle class, and then we still have the poor. But here's the difference. We still have the poor, but there's less of them percentage-wise. There's just more of them because the population grew. So that's kind of a funny math thing that people throw out there every once in a while. So that's what we got for today. That was Chapter 3, the second law, or second big lesson of the 13 of Think and Grow Rich, which is faith. Appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, go to our page, The Top Producers Show, and subscribe to it, because we're going to give out content and information like this on this show. Thanks, guys.